Alright, what's good, y'all? Leekautorepair. Today, working on the 2010 Honda Accord. It could be coupe, it could be sedan. It don't matter. They pretty much the same. This one is a 2.4, and doing front pads and rotors. I got everything listed on the ground. What you need, if you give me a second, I'll put my gloves on, and I'll just run through it. Of course, starting off, you're gonna need to get the wheel off. I don't need to show you how to get the wheel off, but of course, you know you need a 19mm lug nut. Socket to get the lug nuts off, and then I'll show you in a second. But there are actually, we should do that first. Let me turn the wheel. But if you see right here, I'll zoom in a second when I'm ready, but there are two Phillips screws. Hondas like to use these to keep the rotors on. Some other manufacturers use different stuff, like little retaining clips onto the stud. This one is just locked into the rotor. If you notice, there are two holes right here. They are, you could put in maybe like a millimeter. I don't know the pitch depth, but I know the bolt size is a 12mm, and put the bolt through there, run it through. You can run it through with a gun or hand tools. It's just better to use a gun. And this will pretty much press off the rotor up against off the hub, and you'll be able to get it off. But me, I got the correct tools. What I need, I got an impact driver set. Got my Earthquake 3/8 electric with got 12mm swivel on there. What else I got? Got a swivel with a 17 because I'm gonna be taking off. There's the caliper bracket bolts. There's two of them. Brake cleaner, PB blaster, because I sprayed up the screws that hold the rotor. Brake grease, and I got my screwdriver, and pretty much that's it. Got my knee pad I'm sitting on. Got this from AutoZone. Couple bucks, whatever. I know y'all don't like the brand, but me, I'm all about saving money. I really don't care. So first things first, what I like to do is I like to get these screws off first, because this it's a pain in the ass to work with. It looks like I'm already set up with a Phillips. So give me 1 second, and I'm gonna zoom in real quick. How this works is it's got like some spring inside of it, and this end is designed to take like a blow, like a bunch of blows actually. Eventually it'll wedge out. You can see mine's is wedging out from hitting it, but it's designed to create an impact and force while you twisting at the same time. The bits go bad after a while. Make sure you keep some in. I got 2 sets of this tool, so I'm good, and I always get bits. So I press in and then hammer here. Make sure you're twisting at the same time while you're pressing in. Cover up too, don't breathe this brake dust in. I always hold my breath. So we'll take that off, and then we're gonna work the next one. And that's it. Next, there are two 12mm bolts. We only taking off one. Take off the bottom one, and you should be able to swing the caliper up. I like to use power tools too to make the job a lot faster. So if you ain't got power tools, like, I kind of feel bad for you. Flip it up, then I press the boot back. You should be able to take the whole thing out with the slider pin. Next, forgot to mention the tool in the beginning. You're going to need a caliper compressor tool. Whatever you can use is a big C-clamp if you want, small one. Don't use a twisting one. That one is a pain in the ass, and they only work on calipers that are like in fair condition. After a while, with age, and you know, this with age and rust and everything and dirt, just makes it hard for the piston to go back in sometimes. So sometimes you need something more sturdy like this. This is designed for a dual piston. Obviously I had one piston, but you can set it up pretty much the same way. I want to press this back all the way to reach the bottom in the bore. Bottom's out pretty much till you can't go no more. Cool. Press it off. Then I like to leave the caliper hanging off to the side. Be careful. Make sure you examine or inspect your brake hose. Looks nasty, looks suspect. Or if you got one caliper that's just getting hot, like constantly hot, you know, you probably just the brake. I had a couple jobs before where in this situation it was getting hot, and it all came down to the brake hose collapsing, causing the caliper to lock up pretty much. So different story. All right, so in this case, we're not if you can see, the pads is more worn on the inside than the outside. That could come for improper lubrication of the slider pins, or if the piston was seized. The piston is not seized, and then too, you gotta understand the condition of this rotor as well too. Probably the rotor is thin to me, but we're not worrying about all that. Make sure you save these springs right here. You need these because these play a big part in helping when you let off the brake. It pushes the pads. The pad will always contact the rotor, but it takes it off to a point where it won't even make no noise and nothing like that. So we're gonna take this brake pad off. How you doing? Okay. All right, so got that off. And then next, I want to move the camera over, but behind it is two 10mm bolts. As you can see, make sure you can see. One right here, one right there. I want to use the gun. Gun is going to make my life a whole lot easier. I don't need a swivel on this one. My gun is earthquake gun. I did a review on this. I'll be sure to leave a link in the video. I did it a few years ago. Pretty good gun. Don't breathe this. Get the next one. Cool, we off. The next, take a hammer and you're just gonna whack your rotor anywhere you want. Don't hit the studs. Be careful, be sure to clean your hub. Take some PB Blaster where you got a wire brush. I don't have a wire brush on me, but I want to use PB Blaster. And you want to make sure the hub surface is clean, because that could be why your rotor didn't come off. We can see this rotor is shot. We ain't worrying about that, so I'll just leave that off to the side. And then we're gonna open up a box. And I want to match your rotor up. You don't have to worry about which way the rotors go, which side. As long as your part numbers are the same, you good. For this Honda, they're the same on both sides. So the rotors come oiled up and everything. A little chemical stuff to stop it from like rusting up or turning colors or whatever. So what I like to do is, I like to match up the rotor. Make sure they right. Obviously this one ain't right. We got a problem, so I want to have to run to the parts store pretty much and get the right rotors. I'm mad they did this shit to me, so I guess I'll be back in a second. So I'm back from the parts store. Hopefully I got the right parts. There's a difference between the LX model and the EX, so I want to try to be as fast as possible because I'm kind of behind a little bit. So let's start this over. Match the rotor up, make sure it's cool, they look right. Then take the brake cleaner I had a second ago. Alright, then we're going to spray the back side of the rotor, and the reason why I mounted it backwards because less dirt getting on it, the better. It's like I jammed this on here. Alright, let's get that off. That's on there. And then I'm gonna clean this up. Next, wanna put my bracket on. If you wanna hit it with some brake cleaner, you can. I like to clean the shim. They good, you can keep them. They bad, replace them. If they good, like I said, I keep them. In this case, they look good to me. I'm keeping them on there. You can save the ones that came in the pack. Use it at a later date or discard them. It's up to you. Alright, so I went ahead and put the pads on. If you want to know how I lube up the pads, I'll take one off and do it over for you. But actually, just pay attention. This part right here, put some here, put some there, and then Go ahead and put it in. I did that to the other side. If you want to be like everybody else, sometimes, well, I used to be that guy. I used to paste grease all on the center of the shim. I don't do that anymore. I just meet only where points meet at and stuff. This slider pin and pin up here, make sure you grease them. And remember I said in the beginning of the video, the inside pad was worn. It's because this slider pin right here is pretty much seasoned here. I can't even turn it or nothing. I got pliers. I'm not even going to try to destroy it, trying to get it to move. But if you got something in this case, don't be that dude trying to heat it up to get it out. Go ahead and get you another caliper with a new bracket. Start all over fresh. Call it a day. It's relatively cheap nowadays. But in this case, I can get the caliper still on, and I'm gonna let the customer know that you know, replace your caliper as soon as you can. And won't really affect brakes like that if you get on it like right away, maybe the next day or like a few days, but don't let something like this prolong. And I'm gonna put this 12mm bolt on, use my gun, and pretty much that's all it is. When you're doing front pads and rotors, I got a video like this for the same model that applies for the rear. Make sure you watch that. I'll tag that as well. And don't forget to, when you do the other side, to do the other side is you want to do the other side of the brakes. But when you all done the job, don't forget to pump the brake pedals. Pump it at least like 6 to 10 times, so you got that firm tight pedal. I do got the brake fluid reservoir cap unscrewed, just in case I have an overfill. It could just drip out instead of like bursting out. And make sure you tighten the cap, and then go on your test drive and make sure you're cool. So I'm gonna go ahead and knock the other side. Make sure you guys hit the like button. Make sure